The defense was neglected when they were giving out the salary cap pie, because we're going to make this thing all about the offense. And, you make the point about becoming a running team. Think of because plenty of players have different skills they have to muster at any given moment. You got different tools, big tools, small tools, but they're no more stark than they are for an offensive lineman, because you're either pass blocking, which means kind of semi-retreat and create a barrier for the quarterback, or you're run blocking, which means full speed ahead, try to put somebody on their ass. It's two completely different things. And you either have a wall of guys who are really good at steamrolling or really good at protecting. Now, some are so good that it doesn't matter. You can tell them to do anything and they'll do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. It's a mindset. It's a mentality. You can't just flip a switch. Look, aren't you fascinated by what Jameis Winston could be? Forget Russell Wilson. Aren't you fascinated by what Jameis Winston could be in that offense? And Russell Wilson makes sense too. Remaining base salary of $1.55 million as of this week. He's got that moon ball. I mean, he's got one tool in the bag, and the best tool that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have is the ability to go get that ball when it's in the air. Yeah. I just think they got to do something. They need to do something. And if they can do it cheap, because that is the buzzword for the franchise, if they can do it cheap, then maybe they'll do it.
I would be intrigued. I think Jameis Winston, I think there's something about older quarterbacks that if you can't keep them upright and keep people clear away from them, there's something. I thought Russell Wilson, I thought he put that on example in the Giants-Chiefs game when you have a chance to win the game and we're throwing the ball out of bounds. I just, if I'm them, there is a Jameis Winston factor in here where I'm like, what is Jameis Winston known for? He's going to go out there and he's going to sling the ball all around the field. He's going to let it rip. And when I look at Cincinnati, you look in their backfield, Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, those are more guys that you consider like third down, 2-minute passing backs. So, all right, we got those guys. We got Gesicki at tight end, passing tight end. You have these receivers like, hey, Jameis Winston's all for letting the ball rip, and we're going to go out there and it's either going to be really good or we're going to have a few turnovers. It is what it is. But I think there's a fun ride. And again, we talked about this with the Giants and throwing in Jackson Dart. There's an energy sometimes that guys can bring to the team that helps the overall team out. But I think they could be a team that, if you had a Jameis Winston, I think the defenses would be a little more nervous going into the game of, hey, like, we don't know what kind of game we're going to get, but this guy is the type of guy that he could get hot and get in rhythm, and next thing you know, it's 400, 450 yards passing, and he can do that too. I mean, any defense. Last year he did that with Cleveland against a Denver defense that was one of the top defenses in the NFL, and he went out there and he let it rip, and next thing you know, Denver's in the game of their life trying to defend Jameis Winston. So I wouldn't mind seeing that at all.
Well, and you made the point about the lift a quarterback can give. Jason Garrett talked about that on Sunday night as it relates to Jackson Dart and the lift that he gave to the New York Giants. There was a moment last night where Jamar Chase approached Zach Taylor, the coach of the Bengals, on the sideline. And it wasn't, we have seen far more interesting sideline interactions over the years, let's just say. But it did stand out because Zach Taylor standing on the thick white stripe doing his job. Here comes Jamar Chase, gesturing, frustrated, and who wouldn't be? And Taylor explained it after the game, like, this is just a guy who wants a win, and he believes getting the ball in his hands is conducive to winning, and every great receiver thinks that. And if you're not winning and you only have a handful of catches on the night, I mean, it doesn't take a genius, which qualifies me to do it, to do the dotted line back to the guy throwing the passes. The problem is the guy throwing the passes. And Jake Browning's had his moment, but at the end of the day, and, I don't know if my son is just naturally perceptive or he's been hanging around me too long, but, one of the realities is there's a winner and there's a loser. And somebody's going to lose, and somebody's not going to be good. They're all not going to be superstars. They're going to be players who aren't perceived as being very good because their teams are struggling. And there was the Jamar Chase moment last night. Good job, control room, pulling that up quickly, because I don't think they planned for me to talk about it. But I just wonder I always wonder what goes on behind the curtain. What's going on behind the curtain this week in Cincinnati on a short week where they have the Sunday game coming up against the Lions? What's going on behind the curtain as it relates to the quarterback position? They don't have a lot of options. I think they've added Brett Rippon after the Joe Burrow injury. I'd be calling the Giants last week, not today. I'd have done it last week. We have a need, possibly through the end of the season. You've got 3 quarterbacks. You only need 2. Let's do something here. Let's make a deal. And I think last week the best I could do, and I don't know this with certainty, but the impression I got as I tried to poke around and see what might happen, it's kind of that moment where everyone's quietly posturing and no one wants to make the first move. You know what I'm saying? Where, because it's low tech. This is the tape tennis balls onto your hands equivalent of high level negotiation. Nobody wants to be the person to pick up the phone. Maybe they should wear oven mitts so they don't pick up the phone, because you want the other person to make the first move, because then the perception is you're more desperate to do this deal than we are, so we are going to get a better deal instead of a true win-win, because the Giants are going to be thinking, hey, they're desperate. Look, especially after last night, that 5th-round pick's a 4th-round pick now. And the Bengals may have been thinking after Sunday, hey, look at Jackson Dart. Oh, wow, hey, it worked. Maybe we can get Russell Wilson for a song. But 5th-round pick is kind of the number that was churning last week, and I just think it makes sense. Clear out Russell Wilson. He doesn't want to be there. He'll say all the right things. He don't want to be there. Oh, come on. He doesn't want to be there. Not after Jackson Dart played the way he did. And the Bengals need him. So I think I'm trying to speak it into existence.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.